Hey YouTube, it's Zach with East Coast Guns and Gear. Today we are going to discuss the DI gas system in your AR-15. Do you know the difference between your different length gas systems and your direct impingement gas system on an AR-15? If not, stay tuned and we're going to discuss it today. All right, gents and ladies. As I said, we're going to discuss the DI gas system in the AR-15. We're going to cover all 4 length gas systems. We're going to discuss the pistol length, carbine length, mid-length, and rifle length. Explain what the purpose for each of them are. Explain the mid-length, which is a new, shouldn't say new, but newer gas length system. And just discuss so you know what works for you and what's good for you. All right. With further ado, let's get right into it, okay? Here behind me, we have our direct DI gas system on the AR-15, direct impingement. If you guys would be interested in another video where I discuss differences between a short stroke piston, like your LWRC, your SCAR, and some of your other AR-15s, if you would like to see the difference between that versus a DI gas impingement system, I'd be more than happy to do a video on that as well. But today we're just discussing the DI, the direct impingement, which is probably 95% of your AR-15s out there today. The DI system comes in 4 carbine lengths. Right here is representing your AR-15. Here's the upper receiver, and here's the barrel. Each hash mark on this barrel represents a different length direct impingement gas system. We're starting with a pistol, a carbine, a mid-length, and last but not least, the rifle length gas system. So we'll start short and we'll work our way towards rifle length, all right? A pistol length gas system would be primarily designed for your 7, your 8, your 10-inch barrel pistol AR-15s. The main reason, your barrel's not long enough to get out here for a carbine length gas system. So they had to create an alternative for that. You can't have a carbine length gas system on a 10-inch barrel or 8-inch barrel. So we have our pistol length gas system. However, your pistol length gas system, due to the lack of dwell time, so when your round goes off, the time it takes to get past that gas block or the gas port in the barrel is very little dwell time. So when your casing goes off, it expands and then contracts a hair. That being said, you have reduced dwell time, so your bullet is going to react very quickly, because obviously it takes less time for the bullet to get to the pistol length port than it does all these other ports along the barrel. So you're dumping the most gas back, and you're dumping it back as fast as possible. So you can run into reliability issues due to the extreme quickness of, or lack of dwell on the pistol length carbine or the pistol length gas system. What you will see is extremely fast bolt cycle time. However, that also causes more wear to your AR-15 bolt, to your bolt carrier, as well as to your buffer and buffer spring. So next will be the traditional carbine gas length system. This was designed for your 14.5 and your 16-inch AR-15s. For the longest time, the carbine length gas system was all you could get in the 14.5 and 16-inch length AR barrels. So your carbine gas system, your gas block would sit approximately here. I did not measure this out. It's just a rough drawing. So yet again, short dwell time and max amount of gas returned. Now, due to that, yet again, the shortened dwell time could cause reliability issues. We don't generally see that in most of our ARs. You can see that occasionally with steel cased ammo and so forth and so on, because you need that case to be able to go through its fire forming during the ignition before the extraction starts. And your lack of dwell time on, like I stated, the pistol length and the carbine length can cause interference and issues with that. However, with the carbine length, you generally don't see that, but it is a possibility. Now, what you do see is, much like the pistol length, you see a fast bolt time. The bolt is accelerated back and forward in a faster motion due to the shorter length gas system. Now, yet again, we have excessive, and I use excessive loosely, but we have more wear on our bolt carrier and bolt assembly, as well as the rest of our AR-15, than we would in a mid-length or rifle length system. Due to the short dwell time, due to unlocking the bolt lugs faster, due to not giving the case time to fire form completely. Those are some issues y'all can run into with that. Now, we'll move on to one of my favorites, the mid-length gas system. The mid-length gas system is great for anything down to a 14.5 inch. Now, I know you're all thinking, he just said 14.5 inch to 16 inch on the carbine length gas system. I did, because for the longest time, that was all you could find. That's all you could get. But now, mid-length has really stepped up. And I say that because not only do you get a longer dwell time waiting for the projectile to pass that gas port, gives more time for the casing to do what it needs to do, it also slows your bolt carrier down a little bit because of the extended dwell time and the extended length that the gas needs to return. And in return, that slower bolt assembly gives you a lower recoil impulse, meaning the gun will kick less, stay flatter, and shoot a little bit easier quickly. Now, I know one of the questions on some of your head is, wait a minute, he said my rifle will slow down. I've seen professional shooters all day, every day. They don't outshoot mid-length or rifle length. And rifle length, your bolt's going the slowest. You know, pardon me, it's a little hot in here today, so I might be sweating a little bit, but out in the garage it's a little warm. So what we'll see with the mid-length is a lower recoil impulse, which makes it more pleasant to shoot. I like shooting it faster. It stays a little flatter because of less recoil, less jump. You know, you throw a mid-length with a muzzle brake, and that's another thing we can discuss. One day we can discuss muzzle brakes versus flash suppressors. For those of you that aren't fully understanding the difference between the two, that's something we can discuss. Leave a comment if you would like to see the discussion between muzzle devices, or if you would like to see the discussion between, as stated, the short stroke piston and the direct impingement gas system. I'll be glad to discuss either one of you, maybe draw a little diagram, something similar to what I have today. I like to keep it simple, but give you guys a visual cue versus me just speaking to you. And that takes us on to our last but not least, which is the rifle length gas system. Now, your rifle length gas system could be your 18 inch, your 20 inch, your 24 inch. Some of y'all might even have a 26 inch. That would be your rifle length gas system. Now, that being said, I did kind of forget 18 inch. You can get an 18 inch with a mid-length gas system, but generally 18 and above, you're going to see the rifle length gas system, which is way out here. Now, if you're tracking with what we've discussed today, you'll say, wow, Zach, that's got even more dwell time. It's got a longer return gas tube. We're going to have a softer recoil impulse, softer than our carbine, our pistol, and our mid-length. resulting in our least recoil AR. Now, I guarantee you're not going to go out there and semi-auto outshoot the capability of a rifle length gas system or a mid-length gas system. It's just not going to happen. I mean, you can watch Jerry Michelik run 3-gun and he's running mid or rifle length, depending on what gun he's running. He's not running carbine, and he's not out running with that finger. So, and y'all out there ain't Jerry Michelik. So, that being said, rifle length is another sweet spot. If you don't mind shooting an 18, 20-inch rifle length gas system, low recoil impulse, not much kick. Not that a 223 has a lot of kick, but rifle length versus carbine is a noticeable difference. I haven't really shot a mid. I've had many mids, but I haven't shot a mid to rifle length back to back to tell you if I can notice the difference between the two there. However, the rifle length is the softest recoil, the slowest bolt, the longest dwell time. Everything that we've discussed up to this point, the rifle length's where it's at. I know it's, you all think 20-inch M16. Yes, it had a rifle length. Yes, in my opinion, they did it best the first time. However, if you want that 16 or that 14.5 inch, I think the mid-length is the way to go. Now, there is some perks to a carbine length gas system. And one of them is, remember how I said it's going to move that bolt faster? It's going to dump more pressure back to that bolt. You're going to be running a higher pressure within your receiver. That will overpower some grime and will function a lower or underpowered cartridge better. That being said, I haven't, even with light reloads or, your standard hunting rounds, not your NATO 5.56, your 223 hunting rounds, I have not seen any issues with mid-length or rifle length cycling it, given that your gas block and your gas block and your gas tube is set up correctly. Now, that being said, we fully discussed the DI gas direct impingement gas system on the AR15. Now, in case you're wondering how it actually works, let me grab a dry erase pen and we'll go over that real quick. I'm trying to keep the video as short as possible, but you have a gas block. So depending on the length of your direct impingement gas system, so we're just going to use, how about we use mid-length as an example here. You're going to have a slight shelf in the barrel at that spot. And when you slide that gas block on, it's going to slide back and sit over this gas port. So that being said, there is our gas block sitting over top of the gas port. The hole in the gas block is lining up with the hole in the barrel. And there is a small channel that comes out of the hole in the barrel into an L here, as you guys hopefully can see on this video. And now you have your gas tube, which slides into the receiver, upper receiver, and runs from the upper receiver to that gas block. Now that represents your gas tube. Now you have a pin, a roll pin, that fits into the gas block and holds the gas tube in place. You also generally have 1 or 2 set screws and maybe a what do they call it? A set pin on the bottom of the gas block securing it to the barrel. So you'll probably have like 2 set screws here, and maybe it's pinned. Maybe it's pinned to the barrel to set the correct orientation on whether it's straight or canted. Now that being said, a canted or misplaced gas block, say it's not pinned, so you're setting it yourself. If it's not directly in line with that port on the barrel, you will receive reduced gas through your gas tube back to the receiver, which could cause, and more than likely will cause, cycling issues in your AR15. So, now that we got an understanding of what the gas block does, I'm not telling you guys to build one. I'm not telling you how to build one. I'm just showing you how the system functions and giving you my opinion, as always, on all of this. These videos are for entertainment and my opinion and some education along the way. I do not teach how to do anything. I do not tell you how to do anything. I'm just sharing my knowledge and the stuff I picked up over the years. This is not an instructional video. So, they also have an adjustable gas block, which you'll see on, a lot of suppressed type rifles will run with a adjustable gas block because extra gas is needed. Adjustable gas block usually has some sort of plunger on the end here that is adjustable. Meaning, like a faucet in your home, like a valve, you turn this block and it enlarges. So here's your gas port on low, here's your gas port on high. It opens and adjusts the size of the gas port within the gas block, allowing more or less gas to travel through the gas block down this gas tube. Now, that's the purpose of an adjustable gas system. So regardless of whether you're running a suppressor or not, and regardless of the ammo or the conditions, you can adjust more or less how much gas you want flowing into the receiver. Adverse conditions, desert, mud, really cold, rainy conditions, maybe you want to crank that gas system up just a tiny bit. Run a little more gas through the system to help it cycle better. Now, on regular functions, leave it on the low settings. It should run perfectly fine. That being said, I personally don't have any adjustable gas systems. I did on the LWRC and the SCAR that I had. I no longer have those weapons. They were both short stroke piston weapons. It turned out I'm not really a big fan of short stroke pistons. Didn't keep either one of them, mainly for that purpose. I just don't like the short stroke piston. It's not for me. We can go over that in another video, why I don't like short stroke pistons. But we're not going to discuss that today. Today was just an overview of the direct impingement system. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more content, more education, or just more entertainment. And let me know whether you prefer, in the comments, whether you prefer direct impingement or short stroke gas piston, short stroke piston. I'm interested in seeing that. And if you AK guys are out there watching this, give a shout out to the AK. Okay? And until next time, this is Zach with East Coast Guns and Gear. Stay safe and protect your home.